Okay, in today's class, I am going to I am going to explain JavaScript type errors. Okay, so as I told you that these all the classes are free classes. They are being provided under my Lakshmi Narayan Krishna Foundation to inculcate the coding skills to the rural students who are totally aware of they are living in the rural areas and they are totally aware of the network centers, and generally they are not afford to pay expensive tuition classes. That's why, because all of you know that if somebody else go for Hyderabad, if they want to be part of any like Q Spider, Naresh, Ratnam, like that, any institutes there, if you want to get these programming skills, surely you need to pay a lot of money. So that's why I started a foundation whenever I come on retirement in 2018. After 5 years, I started a foundation 2023, Lakshmi Narayan Krishna Foundation, especially to inculcate the programming skills, to enhance the coding skills in the students. So in that platform, I started to teach all that programming languages: Python, Java, C, C++, front-end programming, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and back-end Python, Java, and for database SQL. So these classes will be conducted until my last breath of life under my Lakshmi Narayan Krishna Foundation, thrice of a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sharply at 8 p.m. Okay. So as per my promise, nowadays JavaScript that is being conducted. Okay. So in today's class, we will try to understand JavaScript type errors. Okay. Many errors. Under the errors part, already we have discussed this reference errors in the previous class. So in today's class, we will try to understand the JavaScript type errors. So type error occurs when a value is of the wrong type. Suppose value, whatever the value you have submitted, otherwise you have written, if that value is wrong type or an operation is invalid on that type. Okay, any operation is invalid on that type, so that moment, that is called a type error. So let us see type error. Suppose this is a statement written here. This is what Anna, in bracket, whatever the value I have provided, that is 5, but Anna is not a function here. Okay, so that moment what this value, an operation is invalid on that type. Okay, so this Anna is not a function, so that operation is invalid. Okay, so because Anna is not a function. So next, one more type error. Let us see. Let num is a variable created with let keyword. I told you that in JavaScript, you can create the variables either by let, var, constant keywords. So here I have created num is a variable, let num is equal to 1. So num variable assigned with a value. Now I want to convert this to uppercase by this function. To uppercase is a function. So here 1 is a number. So we can't convert that into a numbers, cannot be converted into uppercase. So let us see the code written here. Whatever that statement, if you feel that errors will be risen, that statement to be kept in try block and in catch block. The statement that is to be written inside of this catch block, that is to be executed if in the case of error occurs. In case any error occurs, that moment the statement whatever we have written in the catch block, that will be executed. Understood that? So as I told you that in not only JavaScript, even though in any language, it may be Python, Java, C, C++, any programming languages, to handle the errors, try and catch blocks will be used. I told you that. Okay. So now let us see try. Under the try block, we need to keep a statement in which error will be occurred. That statement to be kept in try block. In catch block, that statement, we need to keep a statement which is to be executed in such, suppose error occurs. Okay. And inside of this catch block, this is a variable which will hold the error name and error message. Okay. And we have created a variable text, and this text is assigned to error.name. This is the name of the error. This is the name of the error. Okay. So now let us see, we will practice this. How to write the code to find out that which type of error it is, and next how the handle errors will be handled. Okay. So as I told you that this is the total code written for, I told you that once whenever you want to become a good programmer, surely you will be familiar with three languages. One is that HTML, second is that CSS, cascading style sheets. First, HTML hypertext markup language, which will be used to create the web site, okay, web pages, and CSS cascading style sheet, it will be used to develop your, to make, how to make the style of your website, means how the website appears, how the website looks. So that appearance, looking, everything, background color, font of any heading, paragraph, so font size, text alignment, background colors, heading colors, so how the total web page looks, how it appears, so everything we can do in the cascading style sheets. Okay. HTML hypertext markup language will be used to design your web page. Okay. And JavaScript will be used to create the interactive and dynamic web pages. I told you that in the previous classes what is interactive and dynamic. Dynamic means, interactive means as you interacting as per your mouse movements, keyboard events, any mouse clicks, something to be displayed on the screen as per your, as per your coding. Okay, that is called dynamic. And interaction, your every mouse click the web page is responding. Okay, that is interaction, means you are interacting with the web page. So in this, as I told you that we will write this total code again to find out that, that is which type of error. Suppose this statement kept in try block, here this is Anna is not a function. Okay, so generally that moment, if it is not a function, it is which type of error? A reference error. Okay, here reference error will be displayed, and then message Anna is not defined. So JavaScript web browser, the code whatever you write, that will be read by your your browser. It may be any browser, whatever the browser you are using. It is Chrome, okay, Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, Microsoft Edge, any browser you are using, the code you write, that will be read by your browsers. Okay, so means any browser, and then after the result will be given here. So let us write this total code here again. Okay, I want to write the total code, and how, what is happening. Let us see. So I want to delete this total code here. Okay, total code will be deleted, and okay, so your code window and your result window, there is nothing in the result window because there is no any code here. So write the code again here. First from the start, right the beginning, you need to write the code. Like first of all, try to write the code here. As I told you, this is the document of what. First we need to start with this. Okay, this is the document of what. HTML. So we need to write doc type. Okay. HTML. This is the HTML document. Every web page will be considered as a document. So that's why the first line indicates that this is the HTML web page, means a document. Now come, we need to mention start with HTML. Okay, this is the start. First, we need to start with HTML element. This is the HTML element. Every element, I told you that every element has two tags, start tag, end tag. Now HTML element started with start tag. Inside of this, we need to write with body element. We need to start with body element. Okay. Now come down, body element started, body element to be closed here with this body. Now, what is the difference between any element start tag and end tag? Start tag, end tag is differentiated with the start tag simply by keeping a forward slash. So means whenever you keep forward slash in front of any element, it indicates that that is the end tag of that element. Inside of this, whatever the code we write, that will be read by your browser. And then after it will read the code and finally result will be given in the result window. Okay, so let us see. Inside of this, I want to write the code first of all, HTML. HTML code is what any header, that is what you know. Okay, header element started and header element closed. Okay, inside of this, okay, errors, type error. Okay, okay. Now this is the type error. If you write this, if you click over this, and your browser will read this line of code and it will display the code, means that content, this is the content that will be displayed on the screen. And now here, if you want to style this, if you want to style this heading, otherwise if you want to style your web page background, so that moment you need to start with the style element, that is part of your CSS coding. This is part of your CSS. This is the part of your CSS code and CSS style element closed with this end tag. Inside of this, if you have written this body of the web page, the total background body of the web page to be selected by your, that is what, body. Okay, body of the web page. So this is called selector. By this selector, the body of the web page will be selected. Now background, if you want to change background color, okay, background hyphen color, background hyphen color. So now here column, now as I told you that this is the attribute. This is the attribute of the web page. That is what background color. Now, if you want to change, you can write any color like what you. Whenever you click on the background color will be changed. Otherwise, if you want to keep it somewhat light blue color, okay, light blue color. So what happens here? By this selector, this is called selector. Selector will be used to select your web page. Okay. Otherwise, if you want to select this only text, that is your header. If you want to select the header, if you want to select the header, if you want to select the header, by that you simply use that header name. By this H1, simply we can select the by this body selector, the body of the web page selected and one attribute written. every attribute that is to be assigned with a value. Okay, both the attribute, this is the attribute, and the value must be separated with the column. Okay, this is called one pair. Pair. Every attribute must be separated with the value with the column. And one attribute must be separated with another attribute by the comma. Okay. Now, one more attribute. If I want to do anything for this body, any attribute, if I want to change, if there is no any attribute for that, no issue. If for this header, if you want to keep like what any color type, this H1, this is called header and it is selected by the H1 because element name I have used here. Instead of this color, if I want to use the color of that, color of what? That header, if I want to give red, okay? So now whenever you click on this, now this color of this what? Header changed. And what now here, this is the attribute and it is assigned with a value, both attribute and value separated with column. One more attribute if you want to write text align. Okay. Text align center. Okay. Now what happened? You need to do what? This attribute and this attribute, they must be separated with a comma. Otherwise, not comma, semicolon. Okay. And now, if you run this, what happened? This H1 header content type errors align to center, type errors. Okay. So what I did here I have mentioned two attributes. One is this color and one more attribute. And if I want to write one more attribute for this header, you can suppose like what font size. Okay, font size. Okay, font size. So this is an attribute and it is to be assigned with a value. And value is what? Size. Size means pixel. How many pixels? So this is the attribute of this header, okay, H1, and its value is 20 pixels. Now run, value change. Okay, that is what pixel size decreased. If you want to give more pixels like this. So how many attributes I have defined inside of this header? Okay, three. This is color attribute, text align attribute, and font size attribute. Okay, understood that. So now, so this is the code. This is the part of your cascading style sheets. So inside of this web page, I have written somewhat code which is part of your HTML hypertext markup language, and some code I have written inside of this style element that is part of your cascading style sheet. Then after, if I want to write the code for JavaScript, I need to write we need to write the code inside of this script element. Script element started and script element that is to be closed. Okay. Script element that is to be closed. So JavaScript code always that is to be written inside of the script element. As I told you that script element has two tags, script start tag and script end tag. Now inside of this, the code is what? Whatever the code we write, that will be part of your JavaScript. I told you that JavaScript mostly used to develop the interactive and dynamic web pages. Okay, here see how the code, our topic is what, comment here. Comment is what? Today's class is what? how to handle errors. How to handle errors. Part of errors what we that is what your type errors. Type okay. Okay. So here I told you that if any like one simple you have written Anna. Okay, this is what generally I told you that whenever you keep parenthesis means brackets just after any word, that is called a function. Okay, any brackets have been kept, any brackets written, like brackets are what parenthesis. So these brackets suffixed means written after the word. So now it will become a function. For this function, if you have assigned any value, so now what happened? So this is called what? It is not generally, it is not a function. So generally error will be raised. So that statement must be kept inside of the try block. Inside of the try block. Why? Because I told you that whatever the statement you feel that if it surely it develops the errors or the throws the errors, that statement to be kept inside of your try block. And then after the statement which is to be executed if error occurs. In that case, that statement, it is to be kept inside of the catch block. It is to be kept in catch block. Every catch block must be, we need to assign a variable inside of that. That variable will hold the error, error name, error message. So that variable, any XYZ, your name, my name, Vasu, you can write my name. It doesn't matter for you. So, and then after, inside of these flower braces, we need to define a variable. You create that, suppose any variable, you create any variable, text XYZ. That variable will hold, that variable be assigned for that error will be error name and error message. Now our variable is what? Inside of the catch block I have written Vasu. So you write that Vasu dot name means that error. So generally what happened? Vasu means any variable. I told you that you can keep any variable name, but generally it is a error. So simply that variable must be somewhat error short error, err means error. Okay, so that error, which type of error? That error name, understood that, and error message. Okay, now close. Now what happened? This text variable, it will hold the error name, error message, whatever the message will be developed. So catch block will be used to handle the errors in case of any error occurs. So catch block will execute that line of code. Which line of code? It will execute if error occurs in this try block, whatever the statement we have kept in try block. If it throws an error, that moment the line of code kept inside of this catch block, that will be executed. Okay, so your program will not crash. That is the right thing. Okay, so now if I want to, if I generally, if I click over here, you will not get anything. So here I want to get type of error and type of error message. So I need to use that method. What method? Display method. What is the generally used method in JavaScript if you want to display anything on the screen? I told you that one method that is the mostly used JavaScript HTML method, that is what? Get element by ID method. Method function, both are same, but method is the part of any class, but function, it will not have any class. So this is the default method in the JavaScript to display the result on the screen. But this method has a name, get element, means this method will find an element, get element. How it gets the element? By ID. What ID? One ID we need to assign in any element. Okay, you need to assign a ID in element. By that ID, this method will find that element. So how many elements I have created? Only one element. This is the header element. Okay, I have not created more headers, more paragraph. Only one header I have created here. So in that element, one ID is equal inside of this header start tag, that ID not to be defined here. If you write here ID, okay, you whenever you run, you will get the ID here because this is the content. Okay, inside of this element start tag, this is the start tag of your h1 element. This is the end tag. Inside of this, whatever the content you write, that will be displayed. So don't write the ID here. ID must be written inside of the element start tag. Whenever you write, it will turn into purple color and then assign any value. That value to be kept inside of your single quotes and double quotes. And that value, whatever the value you have assigned for this ID attribute, that we need to mention that value to be passed here as a parameter. Okay, that is anything you can keep here. If you have kept here X and same value you need to keep here. Understood that? So now what happened? This method this get element by ID method, this method gets the element. What the element here? Wherever this value is there, where is the value? This value is kept inside of your h1 element. So this method it will find the element where this value is written. So this value is written here. So this method finds this h1 element. Okay. And then how to display? We need to use one more attribute, that is inner HTML. Inner HTML. Okay. And inner HTML, we need to assign. This inner HTML, what it does, it will display the HTML content. HTML content is what we need to, this is the content. So if I pass that element, if I have written anything like what, surely that value will be displayed on the screen. Okay. So now see, nothing I have written here. Now run this code. Okay. Now we need to keep here document. Why document? See, document dot me, because this method is part of your page. This is the web page document. So this method is also part of the document. So we need to write document dot get element by ID. Here I need to pass some value as a parameter. Which type of any which is to be displayed. Okay, one parameter. So here this variable I want to pass here as a parameter. Okay, text. So what happened? Let us see what we are getting here. what we are getting. So because this is the value I have kept here, by this value, this get element by ID will find the element wherever this value is there. This value is in H1 element. So that content changed. That content changed to what? Because I have passed this text. I have passed this text. So the text is holding one variable created. I told you that the text variable, it will hold the error name and message. Which type of message? And that error name is reference error, and message Anna is not defined. Where is Anna? Anna is here defined inside of this try block. So this is not a function. Okay, it is not defined. So error name and error message displayed in place of this. So if I have removed this content because there is no any content inside of this H1 element, that moment what happened? What happened? That moment, if content is, suppose content is here, that is what your errors. Errors is what? Type error. Type errors. Okay. So the type errors, they need to be displayed on the screen. Okay. So now what happened? You are getting type errors because I have not mentioned any value here. So because this method need, this get element by ID method need a value, that value where you have kept, either in H1 element. Otherwise, suppose if one more element is written like what, H2 element started, and here you have mentioned reference errors, topic reference errors. Okay. And it is closed. It's closed. And one more element you have written here. So whenever you write reference error will be displayed. This is the content. So if you have kept this value ID is equal inside of this H2 element, so these will be changed with your, okay. So here H2 is equal to, H2 is an element, it is assigned with a value. This ID is attribute kept inside of this H2 element. Okay. So once it is small case, you write this as small case H2. So now what happened? This get element by ID method will use, we need to pass a value here. That value, wherever that value is assigned, where is the value? This is the value for ID. So because get element by ID is, it is a predefined method in JavaScript. This method finds the element with the ID. So ID here, where the ID? So it is in H2 element, not in H1. So this value assigned to this ID attribute, that is to be kept here as it is. Okay. So now whenever you click on this, see what we are getting, reference error and Anna is not defined, but both are mingled. Both are mingled. So here we do one thing. Here one break. I want to take a break here. That is BR means break. Okay. Okay. Now what happened? So here line break. To get a line break, I have used one break. That is line break. So error is what? Reference error. Okay. Anna is not defined because here inside of this try block, this is not defined. Okay. Anna is not defined. Understood that? So in this way, the errors will be displayed. Okay.